How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today we are talking about the second part of our 5 fundamentals of the golf swing. Basically summarising it into the 5 things that you have to do to find a repeatable golf swing. The first part was on posture. The second part, which is today, is understanding the concept of playing. And I think it is just as important as that. What I'm going to talk about in the 3rd, 4th and 5th video is also going to affect how your golf swing would look. So today's video is just understanding what playing is, and that's all that matters. What I've got here is a long stick. Okay, I'm going to hold it as if I'm holding a golf club, and the benefit of this is that when I swing back I can see the other part of the stick out my peripheral vision. There is another stick on the ground which represents the target line. Now look, for our complete beginners or less experienced golfers, you need to know how the club is supposed to operate in space to the side of you. Now, as long as the shaft of the golf club is pointing down towards your ball to target line at every point in the golf swing, then that basically means that you are on plane. And it kind of means that you're going to be swinging the club in a circle. And that's an important thing to be able to understand, because otherwise if you don't understand that, then the chance of you hitting straight shots just plummets. What our more experienced golfers, shall I say, would also realise is that it's okay not to be perfectly on plane in the takeaway, meaning the shaft doesn't have to point perfectly down towards the ball to target line. And it's okay coming in towards the downswing for the shaft to look more horizontal. So again, it's not pointing perfectly down towards the ball to target line coming into the early downswing. Where is a big no-no is when the shaft comes down more vertically. And that's why the 3rd, 4th and 5th thing that I'm going to talk about in the series, if you're somebody who's doing that, then I'll explain the reasons as to why. Now, the reason why you can't go more vertical and the reason why it's okay to go more horizontally placed is because arguably the most important part about keeping the club on plane is once the club has, in your sequence, got to horizontal and starting its descent towards the back of the ball. See, as long as the shaft is pointing down towards the ball to target line coming into the hitting area, it basically allows the club to work on a neutral arc. And what that also does is it means the club face would react in kind and start to come down nice and square towards your plane. This basically increases your chances of hitting straight shots and hitting it out the centre of the face dramatically. If you're off plane, which basically means the club is not pointing down towards that ball to target line, it's either exaggerated too much underneath or over the line, then you're going to have curvature and you're going to get miss hits and you're not going to hit it as far and you won't hit it out the centre of the face. So it's a very important thing to be able to understand. The second to that, your grip goes alongside with the idea of keeping the club on plane. See, if you grip the club more in the fingers, your wrist relationship between that and your forearm will become more angulated. If you grip it more in the palm, it becomes less angulated. So if you grip it what's known as stronger, which means more in the fingers and you rotate the arm more over, then as you swing through keeping the club on plane, your left wrist will look like, shall we say, it's more in extension, which basically means it's more cupped. And vice versa, if you grip it more in the palm, the left wrist might look flatter. Now the point is, don't get distracted by wrist positions. It doesn't matter. As long as the shaft of the golf club is pointing down towards your ball to target line and you are on plane, then that is all that matters. And the brilliant thing about this exercise, going back to the long stick, is that if you do this in the garden, you'll start to already notice your tendencies, especially if you videoed it. You'll either notice that you kind of might wander off plane in the first part of the swing, you might be slightly off plane at the top of the backswing, but as long as coming in towards this hitting area you are back on plane, then that basically is all that matters, and that's why it's such a simple exercise but something which is absolutely pivotal for your kind of consistency moving forward. Second to that, what you can also see by using this stick is that as the shaft points down towards my ball to target line, you can also see the way the stick never hits me in the hip, right? Meaning this way. Now, if you're somebody who works off plane, which means you come over the target line, it would hit you. And if you come under, it would hit you. So it gives you really good feedback. And you could start to swing it fast like you would a golf club and it would give you even greater feedback. The last piece of the puzzle would be, and again I've talked about this in detail, is that when you're swinging this, you would notice whether upon delivery at impact your shoulders would be naturally square or whether you would hit it with more open shoulders. Doesn't matter again, absolutely doesn't matter. As long as the shaft of the golf club is pointing down towards your ball to target line, you are on plane. And as long as you are on plane, that little golf ball won't know a difference. It'll only react in kind based on the fact that you bring the shaft of the golf club down towards your ball to target line. Club face would increase its chances of being square at impact. It would work on a nice neutral arc, which means less curvature and much, much straighter shots. So it's a really important thing to understand, and for our beginner golfers, it's definitely something that you want to go out in the garden and start working on. The reason why it's really important to watch the series 3, 4 and 5, or episodes 3, 4 and 5 out of our series, I should say, is because how you move will have an effect on how the club works on plane. So my only point is, getting a cane and another cane and doing your posture and golf swings in the garden, nothing but positive feedback you will get. You go down the driving range and you start looking in the mirror as to the position, then there's a good chance that you might look on plane, but your body is going to be moving around. And that's my only slight hesitation when golfers affix too much to the idea of swinging perfectly on plane. But nonetheless, you need to understand what plane is, and you need to understand that you have a point of reference as to when you are off plane. Basically, if you video your swing, as long as the shaft is pointing down towards that ball to target line, then you are on plane. And like I keep reiterating, as the shaft comes in towards that pre-impact position, as long as the shaft is pointing down towards the ball to target line through the hitting area, is the most important part about keeping the club on plane. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, we've talked about posture now, and now we've talked about the concept of plane. And being in that, we've talked about the idea as to the way that things can look different, whether that might be the grip or whether that might be your shoulders upon impact, but it doesn't deviate from your ability to keep it on plane. It just changes how things look, and often looks can become so deceiving. So work on your posture so far, realise if you've got a problem there, like I discussed in the separation. Second to that, now you know that you've got to identify, oh, my grip is strong, I never realised, or I am more of a palmer grip, that's why my wrist looks that way. It doesn't matter. As long as the shaft is pointing down towards that ball to target line, then nothing stops you from hitting straight shots. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. As ever, I always appreciate a thumbs up, right? And remember, it's absolutely free to press that subscribe button. If you're going to do that, then you might as well press that little bell icon, because it basically means that you receive notifications every time a new video comes out. And you don't want to miss part of this series, because it will really, really, truly help your golf and get rid of some swing thoughts that are unnecessary and start to focus your attention on the things that really matter. Catch up with you guys again soon.